What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So we are now going to be recapping the AFC East, my apologies, the AFC East for our free agency recap. A bit of craziness here too, particularly toward the end, including an interdivisional trade, which I did not expect to happen, but, well, this is the wildness that is the free agency of the 2022 NFL season. So we're going to again start with the team that finished last in the AFC East, I keep saying NFC East, AFC East, New York Jets, and I thought they, again, quietly had one of the better off seasons. They, I will give them credit, are doing everything they can to try to ensure Zach Wilson's success. They're trying to give him a better support structure than Darnold had. They're doing everything they can to finally shed the moniker of the butt fumble. Like, you got to give a team credit for that. They are doing what they can to finally get over the hump and build themselves a better team. And to me, it starts with Laken Tomlinson. I thought that was a really good signing for them, getting some help in the interior line. I like their tackle situation-ish. Now you add Tomlinson to the right tackle, which is where he's probably going to play. They might put him at guard, but I would imagine he's at right tackle. And I really like Mekhi Becton, and so you add him back next year if he's healthy, hopefully. Have Laken Tomlinson. At least Zach Wilson's going to have a much better time to throw the ball. He won't have to run around as much. Hopefully you can open up more things in the running game for him. Then you add CJ Uzomah. That was a really good signing for me. They need a really good tight end. They haven't had one in a really long time. You added one in CJ Uzomah. He's one of the more underrated ones. He's a good vertical threat. He's pretty athletic. He can make tough catches. So that's a really nice add to me. And then a really underrated signing, they get DJ Reed from Seattle. And it just adds to their secondary. And with some of their secondary losses that they had, you added a guy like Jordan Whitehead as well. Those are two really good signings for me. You still have LaMarcus Joyner back there, who he's not the LaMarcus Joyner he was with the Rams, but I mean, that's some good safety depth. It's good depth in the secondary. You maybe put one of them at corner to help a secondary that has been one of their bigger problems. Tyler Conklin, to me, was just tight end depth, but, you know, you always want to have help there at positions. Key losses, Jamison Crowder, who's an underrated wide receiver, he was gone. I can understand why. Maybe they want Denzel Mims to get more involved. They drafted Elijah Moore, who I really liked last year. They want to make those two probably their new dynamic threats. And then you had guys like Keelan Cole and Corey Davis, who can still have some impact in terms of the slot. Marcus May, they ended up losing. I was surprised he didn't come back, but at the same time, I don't blame him. I think he just wanted to go get paid somewhere else. So May's gone, and that's what, in my opinion, they bring in Jordan Whitehead or DJ Reed for to pair with Joyner. And then they lose Fola Fatukasi, which I think that's a big hit to the run defense and in terms of internal pass rush, because he's one of the more underrated interior defensive linemen in the league. I'm surprised the Jets didn't bring him back. I thought he was a pretty big part of that defense. Then they lost Morgan Moses, but they replaced him with Tomlinson. So, yeah. Again, this was just all about supporting Zach Wilson, and they have 2 top 10 picks to play with this year. If they can get one of the great tackle prospects and one of the big defensive players in this draft, then the Jets they're taking huge strides. You got to give Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh a lot of credit. They are doing everything they can to make Zach Wilson successful. Like, this is it's a good situation to be in if you're a rookie, to know you have a coaching staff and a front office dedicated to your success, which it's been a long time since anybody could say that about the New York Jets. So, you know, credit where it's due. They're not going to be a playoff team yet. It'll be a while before they're going to be considered a legitimate playoff team. But at this point, teams like the Jaguars and the Jets, this is all about progression. It's all about, you know, seeing the right steps being taken. This is what it's all about. You want to see steps taken forward. You want to see your young quarterback grow. You want to see your team develop You want to see them start playing more as a unit and taking more strides in the coaching staff so that you can see, okay, in 3-4 years, we can have a playoff team. So that's just what you want to see. So for the Jets, this is all about getting better, and I thought they did this offseason, and now we'll see how it plays out. I expect them to be much better. I certainly hope that they are. And then another team I expect to get better, because I thought they had a better offseason, was the Miami Dolphins. All controversy aside from what they went through with Brian Flores, in my opinion, if you're going to move on Brian Flores, which I didn't really agree with, because I get it, there was instability in the coaching staff, I understand that. But at the very least, you got a decent offensive signing. You're bringing Mike McDaniel, another Shanahan disciple, which those guys are getting jobs all over, and to be fair, there's good reason why. They're known for developing young quarterbacks. So if anyone's going to develop Tua, it's going to be a Shanahan disciple. So I don't blame them for trying to do everything they can to make Tua as successful as they can, because you owe him. They haven't really done that the past couple of years. First thing they did, they get Teron Armstead, which he was one of the big tackle signings of this past class, and that offensive line was absolutely terrible last year. They finally say goodbye to Jesse Davis, which they should have done a while ago, but they bring in Teron Armstead. I think that's a fantastic signing. They still got a first-round pick to play with in this draft. I personally would go after an offensive lineman because I think that's what they need. I would still add to it. They get Connor Williams, who's fine as far as offensive guards go. He's decent. I don't know if I put him as a starting caliber yet, but yeah, he's probably an upgrade over what they already had. Then they get the big one. They get Tyreek Hill, who's as great a wide receiver threat as you can get in this league. They get him in a trade with Kansas City. They gave up a bit to get him, but then they recruit some of those assets with the Devontae Parker trade, which we'll get to in a bit. Yeah, just absolutely thrilled with this offseason from Miami. They did a good job getting Tyreek Hill, who you pair him with Jalen Waddle, who runs 4.3, and then you have some other speed threats on that offense. They're basically just going to try to give Tua a bunch of speed threats, which I don't blame them for. Then they bring back Tyler Gesicki, which he's an underrated tight end. He's decent. I would still draft a guy, but you're making good strides. Raheem Mostert. To me, Raheem Mostert is a really good running back signing. He kind of got hurt last year in San Francisco, and then Elijah Mitchell proved that he's ready to take the majority of the load, so they bring him in. Teddy Bridgewater's is fine, a backup QB as you can find in this league. If Tua gets hurt and you have to play Teddy a few games, I think he'll be okay. Chase Edmonds he's okay. He'll probably just be splitting rotation reps behind Mostert, which is probably what he's best at. They brought back Xavier Howard, which I was kind of getting worried that they weren't going to be able to bring him back. Then they did. They brought him back at a pretty reasonable rate, too. He's worth the money. He's been a bedrock of their defense for years. Xavier Howard's pretty damn good, so I'm glad he's back. It's good for that defense. In terms of key losses, Will Fuller really just did not work in this offense. They brought him in. He really didn't work out. He had some health concerns again. This kind of plagued him throughout his career. Alan Hearns really didn't do much, so it made sense to let him go. I was surprised Jason McCourty was let go, but at the same time, I understand it. They want to get younger, and they just signed Xavier Howard. Maybe they were trying to make room. Maybe they're ready for Noah Igbenogany to take a more prominent role. That and McCourty is 34, so I get he doesn't have many years left in him, if like maybe 1-2 tops. Phillip Lindsay's just kind of being a running back for hire. I love him as a Denver guy and as a Colorado fan. I love Phillip Lindsay. I wish the Dolphins would have let him stay, but I get it. You got an upgrade in Raheem Mostert, so I understand that. The Devontae Parker trade really surprised me. I thought the Dolphins had one of the better wide receiver cores in the league. Devontae Parker had a breakout year in 2019, and then 2020 just kind of wasn't as productive. Same thing in 2021. So I get it. They were just trying to clear some cap space with the Tyreek Hill extension, and maybe they were really impressed by Jalen Waddle. Maybe they were really impressed by what they saw from Waddle, and Mike McDaniel thinks that Waddle is ready to be the number 2 alongside Tyreek Hill. I don't blame them for that. I'm surprised that they traded within the division, but at the same time, they got back some assets that they would have given up anyways that they gave up in the Hill trade. They recouped some assets. Again, one of the better off seasons I thought was Miami. They're doing what they can to support their young quarterback, and I know it's playoffs or bust for them this year, but I say if you don't make the playoffs, at the very least finish with a winning record and hope that Tua's taken strides. If you can do that, then you can consider the year a success, because all you want right now at this point, their main objective is to make Tua Tagovailoa successful. Make him your next franchise quarterback. If you can do that, all's good in my opinion. Let's go to the number 2 team that finished second in the AFC East. A team that we all thought was dead and buried, and then Mac Jones came out of nowhere, which was the New England Patriots. Very quiet offseason for them. Not really anything notable. They made a lot of their splash moves last year, and they retained most of them. I expect them to make a couple moves in the draft. The big one, obviously, was getting Devontae Parker, which gives Mac Jones a legitimate weapon, which is what everybody wanted, giving Mac Jones a legit number 1 target to throw to. And you add it to an okay receiver core with guys like Kendrick Bourne alongside of him, but I don't know. I think they might draft somebody. I think the N'Keal Harry experiment just needs to come to an end. It just hasn't worked. I think it's time to bring an end to that experiment. Ty Montgomery, he's fine as a wide receiver, running back hybrid. I mean, New England just kind of does running back by committee anymore, so I expect Montgomery to get time with both. Trent Brown, I think, is an okay signing at right tackle. It's just, shoring up an already filled position. In terms of key losses, I'm surprised Ted Karras was let go. But then again, the Bengals offered a lot more for him, so I don't blame them. Kyle Van Noy is weird to me. He had a really good year in 2019 when he played with New England. He was let go, promptly went to the Dolphins, where I thought he was a better year than I thought he had. Then he was let go from the Dolphins and then went back to New England, and now he's back on the market again. Maybe he comes back on a cheap rate. Maybe this is just the cycle for Kyle Van Noy. The big one to me I was puzzled by was J.C. Jackson. I'm not surprised that he got paid on the market. I'm surprised New England didn't franchise tag him. When you look at how much the Chargers were willing to give up for J.C. Jackson, I'm surprised that they didn't franchise tag him and then trade him. I thought they would have gotten a good amount of assets for him. It probably would have meant a lot if you'd have just franchise tagged J.C. Jackson. Wouldn't have gotten a first for him, but maybe a couple seconds, maybe a second and a third, second and a fourth, maybe a third and a fourth. You could have gotten something for him. I would have done that personally, but then again, I don't know as much as Bill Belichick, so I'll let him have it. In terms of free agents pending, Dante Hightower and Jamie Collins. Hightower's been a key player on that defense for, forever, basically. He is going to be 33. He just turned 32, so he'll be 33 after this year. I don't know what that means to New England. Jamie Collins is just kind of bouncing around the league. Maybe he'll go bouncing around again. He's been in New England like 2 or 3 times now. So, I don't know what the key is with him. But the Patriots really had a quiet offseason, which is expected of them. They made most of their big moves last year. So, at this point, it's just all seen about how Mac Jones continues to grow. Which, if he does, then they should finish high in the division again. But then there's this team, the team I expect to repeat as division winners. And the team that, frankly, I still think should win the AFC next year. I know it's a bold pick, but to me, that team is the Buffalo Bills. I'm going over their key losses first. They really didn't lose too much of that significant value. Levi Wallace, I thought, kind of hurt because I thought their secondary needed some shoring up. They'll probably address it in the draft. It's a decent corner class. Harrison Phillips, I thought, he needs more defensive depth than anything. And then Cole Beasley the Bills just were ready to move on, and I understand that. But they got some good pieces, though. Let's start with Von Miller. I'm not a fan of the contract they signed him to, but it doesn't matter. If they get a ring in the next 2 years with Von, totally worth it. Von Miller's going to bring so much to that pass rush, which this was basically them shoring up their defense to say, we're not losing to Kansas City again. We're going to get Tre'Davious White back next year, which I think that really would have helped in that KC game, having Tre'Davious White. But they're showing up their defense. They get a guy like Jordan Phillips, who's a decent defensive tackle. They also got a really good guard in Roger Saffold. I'm surprised Tennessee let him go. Saffold is going to help shore up that line for sure. He'll help with run blocking. I don't know what they're going to do at running back, though. Maybe they think Devin Singletary is ready to break out. I would draft somebody, because this is a pretty talented running back class. I would take somebody in the second or third round. Or maybe they are that confident in Devin Singletary. It's perfectly possible. O.J. Howard. That's a pretty good signing. I like O.J. Howard, and he'll bring a vertical tight end threat that the Bills don't have yet, and that'll bring some to the passing offense. And then you add Jamison Crowder, and opposite him with guys like Emmanuel Sanders and, of course, Stephon Diggs, who just got extended. Like, the Bills are ready, I think, to win the AFC next year. They're my pick to win it because I think the Bills are that good. And Josh Allen just keeps getting better and better. So, yeah, that's my recap of the AFC East. Not as long as the other two, but it was a more quiet offseason in the East. In a couple days, we're going to cap off the AFC by talking about the South and the pretty much nothingness that was the South's offseason, except for Jacksonville. They had an interesting offseason. We'll get to them. So that recaps it for the East. Stay tuned for the South. They're coming up in a few days. Hope you guys liked the video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did. And until then, see you guys later.